Howdy folks, John here. I'm doing a 1-year update or follow-up video on the little manual tire changer here, as you can see. That video series that I did a year ago has been so popular, and I thought I'd just share a few thoughts and tips now that I've had this thing for a year. And the wifey, she's down to the wear bars on her car here, as you can see, and ordered up some new tires. So I thought while I'm installing one of them on this wheel, I could cover the tips. I have to tell you, it's been one of the best little tools I've purchased in a long time. You know, my situation's kind of unique, as you recall from that tire changer series. I live kind of out in the middle of nowhere, 300 kilometers one way to Kamloops, 300 the other to Prince George. So for me, anytime I needed a tire service, even a patch repair, full day of my time, 2 tanks of gas, 2 days if I had to stay overnight, which can sometimes be the case if they find something, whatever. You know, no longer dealing with upsells, and as we saw from the wheel damage video, no longer have to worry about wheel damage. And I cannot believe every tire that I have changed now, I have found some sort of wheel damage inside the wheel caused by tire shop tire irons, most likely. And it'll be interesting to see if it's on these. These have been changed once since she's had the car, so it has been to a tire shop once. This will be the second set of new tires we're putting on it. And just can't overstate the convenience factor of having one of these things. So if you've got one or you're thinking of getting it, just a few tips here that might help you out. Again, like any tool, more you use it, the easier it gets. I'm actually finding it very fun now working with this thing, and you learn to work smarter, not harder. Let's get to it. I'm not going to cover all the fine details of these little manual tire changers in this video. That's all covered in great detail in the series. I will link to it below in the description and in the first pinned comment. Again, this is just hints, tips, that type of thing. So the first tip is your mounting location. The great thing with these things is they are so portable, so you can pretty much mount them anywhere and move them about. I wish I would have mounted mine a couple of feet closer to the workbench, because you're often transferring bits and parts back and forth while you're using it, and it would just be a lot more convenient if it was just a couple of feet closer. Little rolling parts cart, perfect solution for that now. Speaking of mounting, totally application dependent, but my threaded holes or inserts that are in the concrete, I've just got these little nylon threaded plugs that go in to keep dirt and water out of them. If there's one part of this entire job that I dislike the most, it's breaking the bead. And I think everyone will agree that is the one weakness on these little manual changers, is the bead breaker. It's quite weak. A lot of people, myself included, I have welded a piece of flat bar on the front. Out of the box, it just comes with these 2 normal bars. And if you've got a really stubborn bead, you can buckle them. But again, this is where working smarter, not harder, pays off. What I do is get your tire lube of choice, a liquid lube. I water mine down quite a bit so it's less viscous, so it really creeps in and wicks in to the bead. And I used to brush it on, but now I just pour it on and let it soak around the bead. And I may let that soak for several minutes just to penetrate the bead, and it just makes it a lot easier. I put window washer fluid bottle plastic around my plate here. I just drilled a hole through a plate, zip tie it, easy to replace. And I've put rare earth magnets on here to keep this out of the way. It always kept falling down. I've also wrapped it with hockey tape and put some foam weather stripping on. If it does flip down, it won't damage the alloys. As we know from the tire changing series, my alloys, I've got them sitting on foam mats to protect them, and they're elevated so they won't get scratched. Cleanliness is important if you don't want to scratch your wheels. Now in the comments, others have used bungee cords. That works fine. But the rare earth magnet seems to be working okay. But use whatever you want. Now the only time I found that letting this tire lube penetrate doesn't work was on a friend's alloy trailer tires. They were really badly corroded, and the last tire shop he went to, instead of cleaning the corrosion off, of course that would take more time, they used that god-awful bead sealer rim glue. Oh. Okay, so it's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes. I'll just put my foot on the tire so it doesn't pop up. Easy. Probably didn't even need the bar for that. Makes a big difference if you just take a little more time and let it sit. That's incredible. Those are the easiest ones I've done yet. This tip is bloody obvious. Make sure you remove the valve core. I've caught myself a few times rushing, forget to do it. On the backside, reefing as hard as I can't figure out what's going on. Yeah, the dummy didn't remove the air. So next little tip has to do with the lug pin. This prevents the wheel from spinning as you're moving the duck head or tire iron around. There's all kinds of great suggestions out there. Best one is to weld a plate onto the pin so it will slide back and forth and not fall over. As you know from that tire changer series, when we were removing the tire, you know, this was always flopping over, and yeah, it was a real pain in the butt. But all I've done, just put a rare earth magnet at the base of the pin and it holds it upright at any angle you want. So it's super simple to guide the wheel over. Yeah, and there's suggestions to drill holes to actually have the lugs going through the plate to hold it. Yeah, if you want to, fine, but this is so simple. It holds it, you get your centering cone on there, doesn't move. Of course, because I mainly do just alloys with this, I use the duck head mod, which we went over. Anyway, centering cone, I also got some spacers. I found the spacer donut just lifts the duck head mod a little higher off the wheel to give clearance on wider tires. You may or may not find that useful. And we will spin this bad boy on. And then I just use a regular screwdriver just to torque it. You don't have to over torque it. Common question, of course, is how big of a wheel can you do on this thing? It all depends on the length of your radius arm. The longer your radius arm, the wider you can do. And as you saw in the tire changer series, biggest I've done so far is 20-inch, no problem at all. And will it do run flats? I have no idea. I hope I never have a vehicle with run flats. They are miserable. I know tire shops that won't even touch them, or if they do, they charge a premium price. So if you have run flats, good luck. The use of tire lube, and enough of it, cannot be overstated in this process. So important. And make sure your wheels are clean. Any dirt or grime on them, they're going to scratch. Another important tool is the old drop center tool. This just keeps the bead down in the drop center of the wheel. Now we can mount our duck head. So just get your duck head nice and snug against the wheel. I will lube up the duck head beak, because that's what the tire is going to be sliding over. Now, another little tip on your actual tire iron. This is just the standard 24-inch or 2-foot tire iron, which we saw in the series. I, however, found these nylon tire iron socks. Best thing I've ever purchased next to the duck head itself. If you recall from the tire series, I was always worried about scratching or chipping the wheel when the duck head was moved as the tire iron slipped off the duck head. With these nylon socks, don't have to worry about that. Don't have to worry about the tire iron scratching the inside of your wheel. And I like lubing it up just a little bit. So again, you don't have to worry about scratching the wheel. It'll just slide down there as long as it's lubed. And we're just going to pry it back over top of the duck head. And I always put my bar down in the wheel so it's handy as soon as I get going here. We'll place it between the duck head arm and the center post. And before, again, this is where I was worried about the tire iron chipping the wheel. I always had a rag under there. No such worries now. We're just going to roll this. You'll see the tire iron just comes off the top of the duck head and it stays in there. And I'm hardly putting any pressure on this, and there we go. Like I said, the more you use it, the better you get, and the easier it is. Now, get the back bead off. This could be harder or easier depending on the actual tires. Again, just get the tire iron down, pull it behind that back bead, lift it over top of the duck head, and you may or may not even need the big bar in here now. Scratch-free results every time. Yeah, like I said, since I started doing this, I haven't found a single wheel that hasn't been damaged by the tire shops in some form or shape. Well, there we are. Big gouge right on the sealing surface, done from an unprotected tire iron at one point in time. Like I said, this has only been to the shop once for new tires, other than right now when I'm doing it. I know I didn't do this with the tire sock, but it's not too bad, so it's still sealing. But if you've ever had new tires put on and you're getting slow leaks, I wouldn't be surprised if you find a big scratch on the sealing surface. And yeah, one time I even found a shop rag in a wheel when I was changing the tire on it. I suspect that was probably done when I had a patch repair done at the shop, and you know, when they were cleaning the inside of the tire after they ground it down before putting the vulcanizing cement and patch on, they used a rag and just left it inside. You know, just forgot. It happens, but yeah, it's amazing what you'll find. I'd actually like to know what others have found as far as damage or hidden goodies inside their tires and wheels if they're doing it themselves. Anyway, I always clean this black goo off now, take a little bit of extra time. Yeah, I'm anal, but hey, that's one nice thing doing it yourself. You can take as much time or as little time as you want. A couple more little tips here. Obviously, when the tire is off, this is a great time to clean your wheels or detail them if you're into that. Or as we saw in the tire shop scratch repair video, it's also a great time to refinish the wheels. These were in pretty nice shape. I just cleaned that black goo off, and I gave them all a quick power polish just to take out some scratches and use some tar remover on some little bits of road tar that was on them. Gave them a ceramic coat. Let's get the tire on. Oh, one other thing. If you take the time to replace your valves, make sure you put the valve in before you mount the tire. I've been caught once on that. Again, I can't overstate the importance of tire lube. No real tip mounting the tires. I haven't really learned any new tricks here. I've never run into a tire yet that I haven't been able to get the back bead over first. I suppose with some real stiff sidewalls you may run into it and have to use the duck head, but it seems the back one always goes on easier because the tire can take on an oblong shape as it's sliding over the wheel. Of course, we need the duck head though to put the front-facing one on. Speaking of that, just make sure your orientations are right. If you've got directional, right goes to right, all that good stuff. Drop center tool is a must. And then we want the bead of the tire going over the back of the duck head and underneath the beak or the head. And depending on the tire, let's get this stupid cord out of the way. These are a 205/55/16, so probably not going to need the big leverage bar in the end of the tube here. Probably just do it by hand. When you're going around, just make sure the bead is in the drop center of the wheel. If it's up on the rim, you're not going to have enough room. Putting them on is effortless. Now, as far as bead seating tips go, not much here. You may have to remove the valve core to force enough air in from your airline to get the tire to press up against the inner sealing surface so air doesn't leak out of it. I've found it 50-50 with taller tires and softer sidewalls. I find I have to stand the tire up and do that. Totally tire and wheel design dependent. These ones that are already flexing against the sealing surface, I'm just going to leave the core in, see if it'll fill up. Again, tire lube is so important so the beads can slide over top of the sealing surface. See, this is sealing fine, as you can hear. That was the back bead. Almost. There we go. That popped in at 18 psi roughly. And all the tires I've done, I've never had one needing over 40 psi, and that's what's recommended as the maximum seating pressure on most tires. Finishing off by wiping the tire lube off and just making sure there's no scratches. Wifey's car, after all, has to be perfect. So the little manual tire changer has come through once again. 4 more wheels under its belt and saved me a city trip, wear and tear on the car, 2 tanks of gas, the usual upsells that you get hit with every time, and a 50-50 chance your wheels will be scratched. All that's left now is to balance the tires, and I static balance them with one of the little bubble balancers, as you know from the series. Now, I'm not going to get into much with the bubble balancer. It's already been covered, and it triggers the trolls like nobody's business. So I'm not even going to go there. If you don't think a static balance is going to work for you, don't do it. Buy a computerized balancer. That's actually what I was going to do, but after having 26 wheels now, being absolutely glass smooth, and seeing guys at the racetrack are using these things, hey, it's not just the money, it's the space. I've had computerized balances done at the shop that are way worse than the static balances I'm doing now. The monkeys, some of them, they don't even remove the old weights. They just stick on new weights wherever. Anyway, I'm not complaining about tire technicians. There's some good ones out there. The word is some. They're getting fewer in number. There's just no care anymore. The only tip I can leave you with the bubble balancer, there was a few comments and great ideas. As you know from the mods I did on this to improve accuracy and resolution, out of the box they come with this little metal button that fits up inside the head, and there's a pin that rests on the shoulders of the hole. And the reason it rests on the shoulders is so the pin doesn't put a divot up inside the little hole. Problem is that really creates a lot of friction even when you lube it up, and you don't get good resolution. A few people, they've said they've drilled the hole out bigger so the pin goes right inside, and that improves the resolution because it's no longer riding on the shoulders, it's riding on the tip of the hardened steel pin. So that's a great solution. It's easy, a lot easier than what I did. Just keep in mind, the only way that's going to work is if this thing is centered in the head. And as you know, that was one of the problems with this one. This was offset, so even if I would have drilled the hole out, it would not be centered. And if it's not centered on the pivot point, you're never going to get an accurate balance. But anyway, hope that gave you some little tips and hints if you've got one of these things. Thanks for watching, folks, and until next time, happy DIY at-home tire service.